folks, I'm Mark Street, and welcome to another Dice Tower Christmas shopping guide. In this episode, we're counting down 12 games for you. 12 games based on popular IPs. That's right, and one might even say epic IPs. Okay, maybe not all of them, but definitely some games worth checking out. And joining me on this journey are two of my favorite Dice Tower contributors. We have Roy from the Epic Gaming Night and Robert, the Blue Player. So, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to kick us off with Harry Potter's Hogwarts Battle. This is a very recognizable IP, and it's a cooperative deck builder. And even if you don't know what a deck builder is, this one teaches you how to play a deck builder, which is really neat. And it takes you through the series of books, 1 through 7. What's cool though is that as you evolve through the game also evolves. New things get added per book, and everybody has different player powers, and you're all working again collectively to defeat some of your favorite villains. And there's a really cool expansion, the monsters. You must add this to the system. All your favorite monsters and creatures are here. Definitely worth checking out. Okay, on over to Roy.
Thanks, Mark. My first IP game has two IPs on the exact same game, and that is Codenames Marvel and Codenames Disney. So the Codenames Disney version adds several different elements that allow you to play it with kids, so you don't have the assassin in there, and it's also only a 4x4 grid, and uses all these awesome Disney animation characters that your family will know and love. And my wife's a really big fan of this game, so super excited about the Disney Codenames. And then for the comic book fans and Marvel Universe fans out there, you can check out Codenames Marvel, where you're playing the same Codenames game where you're trying to work together to solve the words, but you have all these cool Marvel superhero and villain characters that you're trying to guess and trying to figure out how to match together as teams. So check out Marvel Codenames and Disney Codenames. And here we go, Robert.
Hey folks, my first game on the list is going to be Star Trek Panic. Now while there might be games in the Trek universe that are more epic in nature, to me this is that perfect game for that person on your list who loves classic Trek. Myself being a huge fan of classic Trek, I love this game. This game builds on that classic castle panic, castle defending type mechanism, but is more than just a Trek painted on veneer. The game runs you through missions, and you're all working together, defending the ship, taking out the threats, controlling the shields, and hey, it comes with a 3D cardboard standee of the Enterprise, and how cool is that? So that is going to be my first pick, Star Trek Panic. Now back to Mark.
Okay, this is the one game on my list that might be a little bit harder for you to find right now. It is available online still, and I've seen it in stores, but it is Game of Thrones, Hand of the King. And the nice thing is that it's like a $10 to $15 game, a great stocking stuffer. And what you're going to do is set up this 6x6 grid, and you're going to move various along the different pathways over the grid, trying to capture families and win their favor and have the most of any one family in the Game of Thrones world. And if you gather their banners up, then you get to use new companions and powers that help you through the rest of the game. And really, you're trying to have the most banners so you can become the next Hand of the King. Back over to Roy.
Awesome, Mark. So for my next one, would you ever want to be a mobster? This is The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. This is a worker placement area control game where it's very brutal, as you can place out your different workers to try to shake down establishment, run around and get jobs to try to complete, to collect money that you get to put in these cool tin suitcases to try to earn enough money to win the game. So it's very much where you're battling against other rival mobs to try to collect that money and get the different areas to collect everything you need and store away all those goods in your suitcase to try to win. So if you're into the Godfather mobster theme, this is a game that has tons of themes where you can make the other mobsters go swimming with the fishes. Make sure to check out The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. So what IP do you have next for us, Robert?
Thanks, Roy. My next game is going to be for that Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan in your life. And that game is going to be one of my more underrated games of this year, and that is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the board game. This is a cooperative game where players are working together to defeat monsters of the week and eventually take out the big bad. And for fans of the Buffy universe, this is a wonderful game to get for them. But the game is super accessible to non-gamers and enough strategy to appeal to gamers alike. But it's definitely for me a must-have for that Buffy fan in your life. And now back to Mark.
My next pick is Legendary Encounters Alien. This is another cooperative deck builder set in the Alien universe. You play the first 4 movies, and you have all your favorite characters from the movies that you can play. What's also neat is that there's over 600 cards with brand new artwork. But the thing that's so awesome about this game is that if you like the mythos or are a fan of the movies, the theme of this comes through so strongly, and you're building up your decks to be more powerful to destroy the aliens as they come into your base, or whatever the scenario might be. And what's also neat is that you can mix and match characters from the different movies and potentially even make up your own scenarios. So this game is definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of the Alien series. Back over to Roy.
All right, so this next one is Star Wars in a box, and that's Star Wars Rebellion. This is a giant epic game where the Rebel Alliance has their rebel base that they're trying to keep hidden from the Empire, and the Empire is building ships and ships trying to search out the galaxy to find where that rebel base is and take it out. There's lots of different missions and quests that the Rebellion is trying to complete to blow up Death Stars and take out different planets in different areas to be able to make the time track go faster, so that way they can in the game before the Empire encroaches in on their territory and takes out their base. And also, if you already have Rebellion or your loved one already has Rebellion, make sure to check out the expansion Rise of the Empire. This changes up combat a little bit, adds new units, new characters, all from Rogue One, so it's an interesting add-on to the game and makes the game even more replayable with all sorts of new the rebels to go on. So make sure to check out Star Wars Rebellion. It feels like Star Wars and is great for a Star Wars fan.
Another great pick from Roy. My next game is going to continue on from the last one where I went with something from Joss Whedon, and this time I'm going to look at Firefly. And this time I'm going to be looking at the game that should be available by the time you're seeing this, if not before Christmas, and that is going to be Firefly Adventures Browncoats and Brigands. Now this game is a skirmish level game where players are going to be doing a job together, so it's going to feel a little more Firefly episodic in nature, and you're going to take on the role of a member of Serenity. It's got miniatures and 3D buildings and things like that. And this game really, when I played it, captured the feeling of Firefly. And honestly, I'm hoping someone gives this one to me for Christmas. And now let me pass you back to Mark.
My final pick for this list is based on one of the biggest video game franchises out there, League of Legends, Mechs vs. Minions. This is a cooperative game where you're playing a story-driven campaign with 10 missions. You're using your Yordles and their freshly new mechs to fight and defeat the minions. And it's a programmable movement game. You're pulling cards and putting in your programming line to move your mechs across the board to defeat these minions. And there are numerous ways to do that. And there's player boards that are really phenomenal. Everything about this game, the production level, is one of the highest out there. Just that alone is worth checking this game out. I love all the miniatures and how you interact with your fellow players, and some of the crazy moves that end up happening based on damage to your mechs and how the board plays out. The board is double-sided, so you get very different terrains as you move through the game, and all the scenarios are very different. So this game is definitely high on my list still, and will probably be for this foreseeable future. You really should check this one out. All right, folks. Let's have Roy and Robert take us home.
That was an awesome list, Mark. So for my final one, this is my favorite intellectual property of all time, and this is War of the Ring. I love Lord of the Rings and the Tolkien books and all that goes around with the fantasy. Lord of the Rings brought fantasy into the limelight, and War of the Ring feels like War of the Ring. It just feels like you're playing through the books, but you're not tied to what you have to do in those books. So if you have a Tolkien fan out there, this would be a great game if you want to get one of those epic, crazy games where you get to go through the storyline of Lord of the Rings, but can also change things up, and you're fighting battles on all different fronts. A gigantic board with awesome miniatures of all the different factions. Whether you want to be the Fellowship or the Sauron player, you get to try to hunt down the ring as the Sauron player, or as the Fellowship, you're trying to get that ring to Mount Doom. It's a very asymmetrical two-player game, so make sure to check out War of the Ring. It definitely feels like Lord of the Rings, and is a great addition for anyone who is interested in Lord of the Rings. And there's also multiple expansions for this game. Make sure to check those out if you have a loved one that already has the War of the Ring box and doesn't have these expansions. Those are also a great Christmas gift. So that's all my IPs. Robert, what do you have left for us?
My last pick for this list is going to be Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Card Game. This is a deck building game in the Scott Pilgrim universe that can play solo, it can play competitively, and it can play cooperatively. Fans of the series are going to love this game. The artwork is wonderful. You're going to be using romance and work and music to try to deal with this evil X, and you're going to be banishing drama, and everything is true to the Scott Pilgrim theme in this game. I hope that you've enjoyed our list of the 12 games for that super fan of a certain IP in your life, and maybe you found a good idea to get them, or maybe a game for yourself, and take care.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.